What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video in our Tag Mixer plugin series. In this one, we're going to just quickly go back over adding a shortcode to the WordPress Plugin Boilerplate. It's pretty easy to do, and a lot of the code I already have from my last tutorial, so it'll be easy for me to kind of copy and paste it around. All of it is available in the GitHubs, which are publicly accessible. You can take any of this code and reverse engineer it any way you see fit. So if I don't longhand write something all the way out, mostly for the time of trying to be less than 10 minutes, if these videos were like long form type teaching videos, like half hour, 45 minutes, I'd just write everything, but I don't really want to do that here, and there's really no reason to, especially because it's already all written in so many places. So in our last video, I showed you how to use a filter to hook the content of WordPress and then add our stuff after it, and we're going to actually do that later, but for the moment I'm just going to go ahead and comment this stuff out. So the function still exists, but it's not going to do anything. So let's close the public, let's close this file, let's close all the files. Alright, so starting back at the base here, if you want to add shortcodes to the WordPress plugin boilerplate, and I will preface this by saying that a lot of this code comes directly from the WordPress Boilerplate wiki, which has all this stuff in there as well. So it's pretty public. It's pretty easy to find where this code comes from. But you can get it in the GitHub. And also, hey, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe, will you? And if you have, I appreciate you. In the includes, in the loader, we have, yeah, it's the loader. We have a couple things we have to do in here because, as you see, the loader is the file that kind of goes through and handles adding actions and filters and all that stuff. And so what we need to do is add that stuff here in order to add a shortcode. And then I'll show you in the next video how we actually register one. We'll actually register one and everything. But in this video, I want to show you how to just add the shortcode in. And maybe we'll even register a simple shortcode in this one. I'm not sure yet. So the first thing we have to do is inside the loader, you got to come down to the construct method. This is when the file gets constructed. It calls this, which is referring to this page. This is object oriented. It's referring to this class, and then it's calling to the actions and creating a new array and all that. So what we have to do here is pretty simple. All we have to do is say this, and once again, for the millionth time I've said this on this channel, I'm using a laptop and I'm so used to an ergonomic keyboard where it's split. That's the way I'm used to typing. So when I type on a regular keyboard, I fumble. Seriously, like I'm a Butterfingers on a regular keyboard. Okay, so we just added this shortcodes and made it an array. And that's going to call to nothing right now, actually, because we have to go down and do something else. So if we take another scroll, we go past the add filter, past that, we're going to come to a part that is a function run. And you can see in here, there's a for each for the filters, there's a for each for the actions. This is how actions and hooks are actually getting added back in our includes in this page. When we call actions and stuff, that's how it's hooking them, is it's calling to here. And this is going to hook them all. So what we're going to do is we're going to make one for the shortcodes, and this is pretty easy, actually. And I might write this. Yeah, I'll go ahead and write this. Let's just make this video a tiny bit longer. So let's just do it similar to how they have theirs. So what we're going to say is this, and then we're going to call shortcodes. We're going to say as hook. Similar. This is going to be very similar to above. As you notice, a lot of these run functions in here, or these for eaches, are almost identical. So inside of this, instead of, see how they have add filter, add action? In this one, we have add shortcode, which is a WordPress built-in function, but it needs all of its, it needs its parameters, and that's why all these are set this way. So the first parameter it wants is the hook. That's what it's going to be actually hooking into. Pretty easy for us to do. It wants the hook. We're going to open that as an array. We're going to open up a set of parameters, and we're going to call the hook. This is what you enter on that other page when we're hooking into this. The next one it wants is the component, in which it's calling to, in this case, it's calling to our class, which component class. And we can actually copy that from above instead of writing that. It's an array, and it's a component, and it calls to the hook and sets the component in the hook array. And then the last one is the callback, and that's pretty simple as well. We can actually take that from right here, and that is the callable callback function. So you can kind of see how easy it's set up, right? We have, and actually let's see, these should be part of the same array, I believe. Yes, and then we need to add one of those. Perfect. All right. So as you can see here, it's just calling in the functions, or it's calling in exactly what you set, like I just showed in the just the base file when you call in. It has the hook you're hooking into, the class, the component you're calling to, and then the function inside of that component. So the shortcode is doing exactly that. So we can set this now for administrative shortcode or public shortcode. It doesn't really matter. Okay. And now there's one more section we need to do, kind of similar to above. You see how they have these big functions here? This is just a big comment block, and then it has a function for adding. Actually, let's go up to another one, like adding a filter. See how this one works? Okay, well, down at the bottom, we're going to do one of these as well, but we're going to do it for a shortcode. And so in this particular section, I will go ahead and just paste, because this is kind of a longer thing to write. It has a bunch of commenting and everything, and then I'll kind of quickly go over what it does. Okay, so that function, let's go ahead and paste it in, and I'll kind of go over what it does. So this is a very similar function to what's being done above. If you go look at any like the add filter or add action, you look at all of the arguments it's taking. It kind of self-explanatory. This was actually written by the people who wrote this whole plugin boilerplate, and they just said, hey, here's an exact example of how it does it with a shortcode as well. So there's so much documentation you can go look up for this, and it will be in the GitHub like I always say. But it's adding a shortcode, and all of the things are here. All the components and callbacks and priority and accepted arguments, and see, it's going through and it's running the WordPress function. I mean, like I said, it's pretty straightforward. It's exactly like the ones above. Like I said, I could go super in depth on it, but I kind of want to keep the video short, and I actually want to output a shortcode. So I'm not really going to be too focused on it particularly, but just to recap what we just did, we came into the loader, into the construct method, and we added a this shortcodes array. Then down in the run function, we added a for each for all of our shortcodes, and it's very similar to what's above. It just didn't have the priority and the accepted args on it. It just was the callback, the component, and the hook, what it was hooking into. And then we added a section that looks almost identical to the ones above for filters and actions, except it's just a shortcode using, or just the way that it calls in to add a shortcode, and builds the array, and then the array gets ran, and then it adds all these shortcodes and blah, blah, blah. So pretty straightforward and pretty easy to reverse engineer. But let's go ahead and add a shortcode now that we've registered all of this. And the way we do that is back in our base class. We have our public hooks, and this is where we just added our content. So here's what we're going to do now. We're going to say add a shortcode with tag mixer tags, or whatever we want to say. Okay, once again, let's just go ahead and just pretend like nobody saw us do that. And then instead of add filter, add action, guess what we now have? We have add shortcode, baby. And what we're going to hook is actually, in this particular case, we're not going to hook anything. This is actually going to be the name of our shortcode, which is what we actually put between the square brackets when we're going to output it. So in this case, let's just call it like a tag mixer append or something like that. Tag mixer adder. Let's just call it that. And then in our public, let's call this the tag mix shorty. There we go. All right, so we've now added a shortcode. This is what's going to go between the square brackets. So when we output it in our WordPress front end, it's going to look like this. As you guys know, that's how you output shortcodes. And it's going to be looking in the public for this function. Oh, simple enough, isn't it? So let's jump over to the public, and below this function, let's go ahead and open a new function. Wow, so difficult. Okay, this is our shortcode for the tag mixer. All right, it's perfect. Well, let's just do a quick hello world once again, just to give us an example. I am the shortcode firing code. There we go. All right, pretty easy. So once again, let's head back into the tag mixer. Let's grab this right here, because that's going to be our square brackets. Let's head back to the site, and then the front end. This is going to disappear now on a refresh. Okay, and I am using Themify, by the way. It's my favorite on Page Builder. And I know it's not really the most popular one, but it really is my favorite. So I'm going to turn on my builder. And right now it's already loading a shortcode. We're going to go ahead and add a second shortcode, which is dropping in a text box below our first text box. And we're going to do exactly like I said, square. It's kind of funny, it gives it the next line. And then square, and it's just going to say loading shortcode, because it is a legitimate shortcode, and maybe there's an error in it, I don't know. I highly doubt it though. Let's refresh the page and look what it says. Hello world, I am the shortcode firing. So guess what? We just added a successful shortcode into our tag mixer, and now we can add as many shortcodes as we want with as many unlimited names as we want. And because of what we did in the loader class, the way that we ran the function and the for each and everything, it can take unlimited shortcodes and add them to our plugin. So now what we've done is we've set ourselves up for filtering the content if the user wants to go site-wide, or letting them run it on any page they want to mark it on by running the shortcode. So that was a pretty big deal, and I think that in the end the user will be much more appreciative of that. And now what we have to do in the next video is we have to build the administrative section real quick, which is just a really simple drop down, kind of like this. It just says, do you want to run it site-wide or do you want to run the shortcode? And then they save it, and if it's the shortcode, it will display a little box that has the shortcode in it. And if they say site-wide, it will show a thing that says you are currently running site-wide. I may even do it right here in this same box, so the master switch, when it turns on and the user saves it, it drops out the other box below that says, are you running this thing, do you want the whole site to be party time, or do you just want particular pages to be party time, right? Because I don't know, you don't want the whole thing maybe. So anyway, hey, I think that's going to wrap us up for this video. Once again, just so everybody knows, this is going to be in the GitHub as usual. And if it's not updated by tonight, it will be really shortly. And then that way you can reverse engineer what I did. You can grab all the code and you can kind of play around with it yourself and change things and break things. And don't be afraid to break it, because you can download it as many times as you want and just, write over it. So, hey, if you're not subscribed, you know the drill, don't ya? Subscribe, will ya? And if you are already subscribed, I really appreciate you. I just crossed over the 300 subscribers mark, which is a big deal. I know to a lot of people on YouTube that's like really small numbers, but for me that's a big deal, and I do appreciate everybody who's getting value from these videos. I hope that it really does help you out on building a really cool plugin. So hey, I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one, where we go ahead and build that admin part and keep this thing rolling.